Cora's life had always been simple. At 17, she spent her days tending her family's farm on the quiet edge of Meadowsville, a town so small it barely warranted a spot on the map. Her world was defined by the rhythm of the seasons, the pulse of life in the soil, and the chirping of crickets at dusk. It was predictable, peaceful, and, though she sometimes dreamed of more, comfortably dull. Until the night they arrived. The first sign was a low hum that resonated in her chest, growing louder until the dishes on the kitchen table began to rattle. The sky darkened as though a storm was rolling in, but when she stepped outside, she found the stars blotted out by something massive, hovering above her family's fields. A ship. Its underside was vast, glistening with strange, organic-looking lights that pulsed in rhythmic waves, illuminating the ground in a faint green glow. Cora's hands trembled as she backed up, barely daring to breathe. This was not one of her mother's ghost stories. It was real, looming right above her with the impossible weight of an entire alien civilization. She barely had time to process the sight before a voice echoed in her mind. It was calm, but immense, an ancient tone that vibrated through her bones. "We are the Orylians. We come in peace. We seek a new home and invite you to join our society." The voice continued, a soothing tone overlaying the words. "You have been chosen for your connection to the land. We require a caretaker, a bridge between our worlds." Stunned, Cora took a shaky breath, trying to steady herself. A bridge? Her? What did that mean? Out of the darkness, a slender figure emerged from the ship. It looked almost human, with a long, graceful form and shimmering, iridescent skin that reflected the moonlight. Its eyes, large and deep violet, regarded her with a look of both curiosity and kindness. "I am Lyra, ambassador of the Orylians," the figure said, its voice musical, like a lullaby in the night air. "We come seeking harmony with your people. We have studied Earth's life and its ecosystems, and your farm, it is unique. Will you accept us as guests in your fields, as stewards of this land alongside you?" Cora felt her pulse quicken. She looked over at the fields, her family's legacy stretching out beneath the alien lights. Part of her wanted to scream, to run, but the other part, the part that always craved something beyond Meadowsville, felt an ache of fascination. If she could say yes, it might mean leaving behind everything she'd known. But to refuse? Her throat felt dry. She swallowed hard and nodded. "Yes," she whispered, though her voice shook. I'll help you." With that single word, Cora became the first human liaison to the Orylians. Within hours, the farm transformed. Strange devices floated over the crops, emitting soft whirring noises, enhancing the soil and stimulating growth at an impossible rate. Crops that had once taken months to ripen were now bountiful within days. Her family was initially wary, especially her mother, who grumbled about alien meddling. But as the harvest boomed, their skepticism faded. Even the livestock thrived, each animal healthier than ever before, grazing under the watchful eyes of Orylian drones that floated just above the fields. And then there were the Orylians themselves. They were gardeners, scientists, and dreamers. They showed Cora how to understand soil at the microscopic level, teaching her to communicate with her crops in ways that felt almost magical. Lyra, especially, became her mentor, explaining the interconnectedness of all life as though Earth's soil was no different from Aurelia's distant oceans. But not everything was idyllic. As the Orylians settled, people from Meadowsville began to visit the farm, drawn by rumors of strange technology and impossible growth. Some were curious, but others were fearful, muttering about invasion and warning Cora that they'd bring the government down on her family if things didn't go back to normal. One night, tensions boiled over. A group of townsfolk gathered at the edge of her farm, torches in hand, faces twisted with fear and anger. They demanded the Orylians leave, calling them trespassers, invaders. Cora felt her heart pound as she stood between the mob and Lyra. "These creatures are here to help," she shouted, her voice breaking. "They've healed our fields, our animals. They only want a place to live, just like us." But the crowd murmured and edged closer, the firelight casting eerie shadows over their faces. Then Lyra stepped forward. She raised a hand, and the torch's flames flickered, then extinguished, as though blown out by a gentle breeze. The crowd gasped, their anger faltering as Lyra spoke in her calming, resonant voice. "We seek no harm," she said. "If you wish us to leave, we will honor your request. But know that we chose Cora because she understood what it means to nurture life, to protect it. We could have been your allies." The townsfolk exchanged uncertain glances. Slowly, a few turned and drifted back into the darkness, muttering under their breath. But some stayed, watching as Lyra and the other Orylians walked back to their ship. Later that night, Cora sat with Lyra by the fields, watching the stars. The night was still, but a pang of sadness had settled between them. "Will you leave?" Cora asked, her voice barely a whisper. Lyra's eyes softened, and she placed a hand on Cora's shoulder. "We do not wish to abandon you, but it is not our way to impose. If the humans cannot accept us, we may have to find another place." Cora felt a lump in her throat. Over the past weeks, the Orylians had become family, and now she was on the brink of losing them. The next morning, she made a decision. She gathered her family and, with Lyra by her side, marched into Meadowsville's town hall. She stood before the council and pleaded her case. Speaking of the farm's transformation, the Orylians' peaceful intentions, and her conviction that Meadowsville could be something extraordinary, a place where two species could live together, bettering each other. And after hours of deliberation, the council agreed to give the Orylians a chance. Over the months that followed, Meadowsville became something of a marvel. Cora's farm was only the beginning. Other farms welcomed the Orylians, and the town transformed into a model of human-alien cooperation. Scientists, diplomats, and curious travelers came from all over to witness the miracle that had begun with a 17-year-old farmer and a spaceship in the night. In time, Cora became known as the Bridge. Her simple life had expanded beyond anything she could have dreamed. And as she watched the fields grow lush under the alien lights, she knew she'd chosen a path that would echo through history. But to her, it was still home. Just a new kind of home, filled with new kinds of life, and a future where she'd never again feel bound by the borders of her small world.